You're listening to KEXP at 90.3 FM in Seattle, streaming live around the world at KEXP.org. I'm Cheryl Waters, live here in the KEXP studios with Parquet Courts. Welcome. So great to see you always.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for always taking the time to stop by. You've got some music to share with us today. I can't wait to talk to you about it. What are you going to start off with?
Normalization.
Parquet Courts live on KEXP.
Faced with a decision, what do I call bullshit? Contemporary dilemma. Can I allow this? Normalization, what am I thinking? Immunization, power conditioning, nothing is normal. Manipulating into believing. I'm exercising skepticism. Honesty is everything. Normalization, process reality, immunization of what goes on. Normalization, prefab experience, immunization, perceived autonomy.
All right, oldie but a goodie, psychostructures.
Gary said it was built to last. Mother country daddy's commission, cause there's a stronger storm every fall. Nowhere left to climb when the ocean rises higher than the Kevlar walls. Oh, fear's taking over. Fear's taking over. Fear's taking over. Fear's taking over. From no one asked the folks in Bilbao. Fine liners huddle conspiring, wrestle in the rockaway snow. Japanese fleet was beneath our feet, the screeching midnight thunder below. The air bends like a wire, slipping to the spire. Steel psychostructure, and dreams falling over. Fear's taking over. Fear's taking over. Fear's taking over. Fear's taking over.
Parquet Courts live on KEXP. So excited always to have you here. And you were last here a year or two ago. I know you played out in our gathering space, which was super fun. And time just flies. It seems like you have had so many things going on as a band and in your personal lives. I know you toured for a lot of 2017. And I do want to talk about your new record coming out in May, but you also did that fun project with, is it Danielle Lupi?
Danielle Lupi, yeah.
Danielle Lupi. I mean, that was kind of wacky and wonderful.
We're wacky and wonderful guys.
You certainly are. I'm wondering what about that drew you into a project so interesting and specific?
Yeah, it was nice to do something that, had kind of a narrative to it, and to write, to write through someone else's lens, and to, write about something that wasn't, our own lives, but was actually, its own setting, its own place and time. That kind of it was fun. It was like kind of like school. It was like we were given an assignment, and write a record about Milan in the '80s, and it was just fun because it was a bit removed from what we normally do.
I can imagine that it lets you go so just outside yourself, so crazy that you just don't even know what you're going to come up with.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel was really good about guiding us. It was kind of the first time we'd ever worked with someone in that capacity, where they were kind of guiding us, and he was, really keen to educate us on, he's Italian, so he had this kind of idea of, what the narrative of the record would be about, and was really good at kind of explaining the culture and time and place of, Milano, and just, it was the first time we'd had someone in the studio who kind of was able to, give us his vision and direct us towards it. It was, I guess, a good experience for, what we eventually started doing with our new record, Wide Awake.
And I know there were some other very cool people who were involved with Daniel, Karen O, Mark Smothersbaugh, and then Brian Burton, and that brings us to your new record.
That's right.
I understand that he produced it. Tell me about your experience working with a producer and how you worked with Danger Mouse on this one.
Well, it helped that he, came to us as a fan of the band, and as someone who, really wanted to work with Parquet Courts, and I guess already had an idea in mind about how he could implement his style into Parquet Courts, very, I guess, idiosyncratic recording process that we have. I mean, we basically made him move out to the desert for 3 weeks with us and live with us. And, originally he was kind of like, maybe we should do this in New York or LA. And, we were like, no, we don't typically record in cities. You have to come live with us for 3 weeks.
Where did you go and do this?
West Texas. The closest town is called Tornillo, but really it's kind of nowhere.
And what was the experience like, and what were you wanting to do with this record? What's this record like? What's it even called?
The record's called Wide Awake. It was a great experience, being out, secluded, with no distraction, being able to focus 24 hours on what we were doing. I mean, I would say, the goal is not unlike the goal for most Parquet Courts records, which is to make something that, is new and keeps us on our toes. And, that's what's been most exciting about this tour so far, is feeling that kind of nervous energy, being on our toes, and not really, knowing how a set is going to go, because, last night we played essentially these new songs live for only the second time in like the past week.
I'm loving hearing about the new record because I didn't even know what it was called. There hasn't been a lot talked about it yet. Did it come together pretty quickly, or are you just kind of keeping all this under wraps and wanting to just unveil it?
Like the writing and recording?
Yeah.
I guess about a year ago is when we started getting really serious about writing new stuff and getting together, a few times a week to start making demos and just getting an idea of what, I mean, we haven't really made demos before recording in the past. We just usually have gone in with a lot of material, but this time, it was around this time last year when we started getting together at our practice space and kind of recording rough demos. And then, still the typical Parquet Courts way of doing things, the studio just kind of winging it and writing new stuff on the cuff. So, in a way, it was a bit like the most prepared we'd ever gone into doing a record, because for about 6 months leading up to it, we were really focused on writing together.
Were you doing it that way just because you were together and had the time and wanting to do something different, or were you feeling like you needed demos because you were working with a producer and someone outside the band was going to come in and...
Yeah, I didn't want anybody to think we were New Jacks.
What was Ryan bringing to the record? Was he sort of in the trenches with you, making suggestions, or was he turning the dials, or...
I would say so, yeah. He was definitely in the trenches with us in that we were, we were living in the same place. And I think the biggest thing he brought is kind of, patience, and also, with any producer, there's going to be a certain amount of will there, but not a will that he felt the need to impose on us. Rather, I'd say that he formed himself to us and didn't expect us to form to him. It felt like he was coming into our world, coming into our process as an objective third party.
Well, as you said, he came to you as a fan, and
Yeah.
us also Daniel Lupi did as well. So it's got to feel great to have so many people out there loving your music.
Yeah, it's nice.
And wanting to work with you. Andrew, you've done a lot of the artwork for your records. I haven't seen the cover of this one yet. Are you going to do the artwork for this?
I have. I've done it, yeah.
Well, I can't wait to see it. The new record, Wide Awake, ! Comes out on May 18th. We're live here in the studios with Parquet Courts, and you're going to do another one from the new record?
Yep.
Almost had to start a fight. Don't know how to react, so I won't. What do when you are provoked? When that's, something's not feeling joke. We're cut up, and I'm more than modernized. Adapt to the more than if you must. Into this perverted status quo. What up, I've got tired of being blighted. I am searching for a reason. I'm in the chaos dimension. Reasons eclipse my attention. Yeah, I want not to feel all about death. Fighting, peace is not an easy task. Breathing, to see if there's any left. Reading about how many people died. Can someone tell me the reason? I'm in the chaos dimension, trapped in a brutal invention. If it stops, I'm having a bad dream. In and out of patience, I just can't keep it around. Most of mine's been taken, as if I find them out. Had a little left, but I give it to you. Someone's at my door, and they need some too. Lighting up my phone, talking in my mood. Hell, I gotta let this shit attitude. All this music's playing in my head. But if it stops, I'm having an unshakable nightmare. Patience, don't have enough to share. Sometimes on life itself, I'm either here or there. The MTA is the first of it. 20 minutes delay was the worst of it. So hard underground, it burns to death. Now you're right on time to take what I got left. Fucking music, yeah. If it stops, I'm counting on you.
That is Parquet Courts, One Man, No City. I can't hear that song often enough. I love it so much. I cannot believe Human Performance came out 2 years ago. Where's the time go? You did Milano with Daniel Lupi. Andrew, you did a solo album, Thawing Dawn. Who knows what else you've been up to? You recorded the
Yellow
brand new
Kitchen with Sean Yeadon and Mark Kozilek.
Oh, goodness gracious. You are one busy band. Well, thank you for sharing songs from the new album. Wide Awake comes out on May 18th. And Sean, Austin, Andrew, Max, it is always a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You've got it tuned to KEXP Seattle. Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.